Hello, Internet. It's Mike White with 143. So we have a question in the group about this project, and I'll be honest, I don't know if this has already been handled or if it needs to be handled, but I just thought I'd make a quick tutorial out of it. It's a technique I've shown you all probably 100 times at this point, but I'm just going to go through it because we're all still learning, and sometimes just seeing, multiple examples of the same thing helps. So this is the image that we've got, and so we're going to do the best we can to fix this image and get it ready for rendering. So let's start up Photoshop. I'm just opening the image in Photoshop, and the first thing I'm going to do is just crop in on it. So I'm just coming in, I'm just eyeballing the measurements at this point because I'm just going to trace this anyway and get it perfect later. So I'm just going to crop that, and let's just look at our image size real quick. So let's look at this in pixels. We got 500 by 500, but it's just shapes, so it should be pretty simple. I think this is going to work out okay. So now I'm just going to export that. Quick export as a PNG. I've already done this once. I was just testing it, and so we're going to save that. And then I'm going to use Gigapixel. You could use any upscaler that you wanted. Gigapixel is the one that I show off over and over again because it's the best. That's my opinion. So I've got 6x. I could either use art and CG or text and shapes for this. Those are going to be the two best models. And if you want to look up here and look at this line right here, that's going to be kind of a telling point right there. So let's look at art and CG. Yeah, it just smooths things out better than the text and shapes. So I just know that's going to trace better. There's no, there's none of these little lines that I'd probably have to paint out in Photoshop. So I'm just going to let it go. So we'll just save that. All right. And so that's done. And now I'm just, working on my browser and my Windows Explorer on the other screen. I just opened that version with Photoshop. So now I've got a lot of pixels to work with, 3060. And what that's going to do for me is let me make clean selections. So, this green area is all we're really concerned about. So I'm just going to use my magic wand, and you can see I've kind of got a loose selection here that I don't like. So I'm going to put this up. I'm going to put this pretty high. I'm going to go for 100. It's about as high as I ever really like to go. I just hit Control D to cancel the selection I had. And I've got my tolerance to 100. I've got the magic wand. I've got the contiguous checked. And I'm just going to select. And then if I want to be pointy and picky, I can just kind of draw these points back in a little better. That was terrible. Let me try that again. And when I actually draw them in well, it's still kind of messed up, but that's the beauty of this. You can do it over and over if you need to. So if I just want to make that point a little sharper in these two corners where it's struggling, and you could be as precise or as imprecise as you'd like there, And then it looks like it did the rounded part pretty well. So now I'm holding shift and using my magic wand again, select there, and then to select there. And I'm just going to look at this bit right here. I do think that adds something to have a little more of that corner and continue that shape just a little bit. So that's just being super picky. Okay, so I'm going to do select, modify, and just expand by 1 pixel. And that should get, a really sharp edge there. And then I'm going to do Control Shift N and paint black. Well, that's not black. Let's get pure black. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is take this background layer. So I've got that separated. And I'm just going to paint black with my paintbrush all over. Make it a big brush. And just paint all over this. And as I'm doing that, I'm noticing that the black that was there is not really a pure black. And that's not really bothering me for this application because, when you print stuff, real pure black is actually really hard to get to for the printer. So I might as well just feed it pure black and see what we get. But I'm not going to print this image. I'm just making my masks. So I'm going to go ahead and export with both of these layers on. And I'm going to call this DCP Alumni Outer, just for lack of better. I could have called it black. And then I'm going to export this, and I'm going to call this DCP Alumni Green. All right, I could have called it Cap. Okay, so now I'm going to pull open Inkscape, if I can find it. Inkscape. And I just started a new document. And I've got those two images. So I'm going to go find those. I think they're in my downloads folder. That's where I like to put all the stuff that I'm not going to keep. And I just selected both of them and I'm just going to drag them in. And they should embed directly on top of each other when you drag in like that. So I'm just clicking once and using my minus tool to zoom out just to kind of get a perspective on things. And I'm going to hit Control-Shift-R to size the document to those two images that I've drug in. And I'm going to select both of the images and then just make sure they're aligned to page. They probably were. There's just been some rare instances where I've noticed that they weren't. So I'm just selected, I'm in the layers and objects, and I'm just selecting this layer, and I'm just going to trace that outer, and then I'll delete the image, and I'll just call this the outer shape. And then this image, I'm going to select that. And I'm going to call this, well, I just want to delete the image, and then the path, I'm going to call that cap. And then I'm going to go back and reference the original, and I'm just going to hit revert to get back to the original. So I hit F12, and I'm just going to select this green cap color and pop over here and go to my fill and stroke panel and paste that in, and you just leave the FF at the end. This is an 8-digit RGBA hex code. Hex, I think, means 6. I'm not real sure about that, but that FF is the alpha value, so FF is 100% opaque, no transparency. And so there's that trace. So this is an SVG, and it's infinitely scalable, and it's the best way. I'm hitting Control-Shift-R with nothing selected, and it's clipping exactly to the bounds. But this is the best way. You can just upload an SVG right to the layout designer. That's the best way. Let's go ahead and just save this. I think we called it DCP Alumni SVG. And then if you did want to get a PNG, I would make it 3600 pixels wide. It's just my go-to. DPI does not matter. It just matters about the actual. It just matters about the actual pixel dimensions. DPI is just a flag in the file. All right, and so I'm just going to name that one PNG because some people don't have their file extensions turned on, so they can't see file extensions on their computers. It's mostly Windows computers. I think Mac is smarter than that. Awesome, and then I'm just going to upload it, and we have our ready for print file. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. Take care.